Stephen Willis. We're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics. The fan, by the fan, and the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah. Right now. The podcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the POMcast. I am your host, Steve Willis, from the Palatial Central Florida studios. I hope you are doing quite well. Listen to that surfer music in the background. That's the good stuff right there. That is the good stuff. But the national championship wrapped up last night. Alabama 52, Ohio State 24. Alabama is the national champion. Nick Saban become first coach that has won a national championship in 3 decades, and I believe he took Bear Bryant for the most all time. So that's pretty good. And the last segment today, we're going to go over why we need to expand the playoffs to avoid such parity at the top. I've done this before. I'll do it again. It'll work after the national championship. But I just I'm of the opinion, for Ole Miss' sake, it needs to be at 16. You can give an automatic bid to all the conference winners in FBS. That includes the Sun Belt, whatever. But then with the at-larges, it will bow to the point where if it's finishing in the top 8 or whatever, it can do. So that's what I would do. There would be some blowouts for sure. There'd be some upsets for sure. But there'd be less parity and less teams be able to recruit going to the playoffs, therefore extending the gap between the playoff teams, just 4 or 5 or 6, and the rest of them. Anyway, so let's get this out of the way real quick. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can at the Stephen Willis or at Positively. Hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. Of course, we are on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss, our channel. We also have interviews there. We have games passed there on demand. We have most of the games from this season on demand. They're all on the YouTube page. So subscribe there, and when we go live, you can be notified of bell and all that good stuff. So we are on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all in word. We are on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Pandora. We're trying to get on radio.com, but we're not quite there yet. But we're also on some minor podcatchers. If you are curious, if we're there, just search Positively Ole Miss. But if we were to name them all, we'd be here all day. So, again, congratulations to Alabama for winning the national championship. And congratulations to Ohio State for losing worse than Ole Miss did. And that Bama game for Miss, I kept picturing that shootout that was 42-42 the field, and everybody excited while that game was going on. For a second, it looked like it might materialize, and it never turned into the shootout. Once I think Alabama went up 21-14. Ohio State was driving and was forced to kick a field goal. 21-17, and then real quick it was 20-17, 35-7, it's over. But I think the final was 52-24. And that was something. And that was really a clinic Vontae Smith put on. And Jalen Wall, all kinds of heart. Alabama, whenever they have both of them, are really, really hard to defend. That, I saw when Alabama aimed every yard but like 42. And that was over 2 drives that stopped the one when they fumbled. And then Ole Miss did some punt. That's changed. Defense is changing. You see that. The Outback was proof of that. as we move forward to recognize where we are, especially compared to a team like that. It was about to lose a chunk, by the way. Alabama could lose one or two times. Texas A&M might be the odds-on favorite if Lamont comes back to win the SEC West. They might not. I don't think it's going to be LSU. Alabama's going to have Bryce Young in quarterback. I mean, it's good, but I mean, it didn't look like Tua did whenever he was the heir apparent. He hardly played, and that tells me he had one quarterback that they were comfortable with putting in the game. And that's going to cause a bit of a drop off. Auburn is going to go through system change. Gus ran that stuff. Brian Harsin will have trouble coming behind him with, I think. So it's not going to be Auburn, not going to be Mississippi State, and it's not going to be Arkansas, and it's probably not going to be Ole Miss. So the best is Texas A&M. But what I just proved to you is how down the SEC is going to be next year. The dominant quarterbacks in SEC West will probably be Matt Corral, and over in the East, probably Jay Daniels. That's what it looks like. So you're in a position where Ole Miss is in a good shape. They're on the rise, while the rest of the SEC is in decline. This, for all intents and purposes, looked like a death row year, 1969 for Ole Miss football type thing. But a lot of quarterbacks are going away. Stephen Willis, POMcast, offensive line exits and interviews next.
Only 10% of us enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of are overweight or obese. We spend 6 hours a day in front of screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us a start in sports and never stop.
Learn how at activelife.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA had him and my mom the home they'd always wanted. Michael's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I've in their footsteps and served with pride. And now out of the military, the GI Bills help with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA served us all.
Well, back to the POMcast, Stephen Willis. Offensive line exit interviews. Now, we're talking about a unit that has protected very well all year and led the SEC in rush yards per game. Hog moms. What they are. But the only thing I'm concerned about is they actually kind of got lucky this year. Didn't really rotate as the season progressed. They've kind of found five and stuck with them. So what does that mean? I'm not really sure. It could be that they only wanted five, didn't want to substitute them out because they want to go real fast and didn't want to have to worry about subbing them in and out. It could be that there was only five linemen that they had confidence in. Now, Jeremy James and Reese McIntyre at the guard position, I can't remember which one at the moment. Bear with me on that. One struggled and Caleb Warren got inserted into his place. I think it was McIntyre, but don't quote me. So that means that there's probably six they have confidence in. There's six that have starting pedigrees in the past. But it's going to be a situation where you fast, so you can't worry about subbing offensive linemen. At best, you can give an offensive lineman a series or two. Now, I expect next year them to play slightly more. I'm not going to change the center and probably not going to change the two tackles, but as the guard, though, there might be rotation between series. Depends on how much they work. And there's also freshmen that are coming in this class that are pretty big deals. And you get them ready, and all of a sudden you have an 8-man rotation. You're protected against something going wrong. And I can't remember the name right offhand. I'm sorry about that. And the way I'm having to be forced to record these does not for easy access in my old age. But Ole Miss also received a transfer yesterday, slot receiver from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I can't place his name, can't look it up at the moment. Apologize for that, but he's out of Western Kentucky, out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I don't know if he went to Aquinas or not, but he's a 5'9" slot receiver. Really a burner, but he's more shifty guy. It looks like he's being brought in for competent. Everybody saw the game and got excited because John Rice Plumlee showed out at the end of that and helped put it away. And why are they doing that? Well, it's about competition. And everybody thinks John Rice can do that. He hasn't agreed to do that full time. So you get a guy that is going to transfer. He's only a 1-year guy. He can mentor Jar. And you also have Jay Henry coming in behind that. Somebody with a little bit of experience in that role that can kind of teach the ins and outs when the coach isn't necessarily there. Anyway, I've gotten off topic a little bit. It's the exit interview for the offensive one. And Nick Broeker is a star. I said Nick Broeker was a star from the moment his video popped up that Ole Miss was recruiting him. Rivals and their infinite with him rated him the lowest possible 3-star out there. I mean, there are players on Northern Illinois roster or Akron roster that are more highly ranked than him. Then they came on the board and went to argue about how they were. And they weren't. Because Nick Broeker was almost day one starter at left tackle and had a fantastic year. And there's a lot of a nasty streak in that player. And he's going to play in the league. So let's chalk that up to me being right and them being terribly wrong. Because we'll call them out whenever they just completely miss something, which I think they're doing with Brandon Buckhalter. Another situation to where they're underutilizing him. And he, as a wide receiver in Mississippi, as you can see with AJ and DK, Mississippi turns out wide receivers and has for a while. Ole Miss since 2010-ish have been able to get a lion's share of them. So it's like 10 years. We went over the lineage, why they are successful recruiting wide receivers today. I'm not really going to re-legislate that. But I do want to say, receivers in Mississippi are hard to rank. And that is because 90 to 95% of the state are weak passing teams. They don't utilize them. So you're looking at players that they fit the mold, but you can't actually see them fit the mold. Like Antonio Harmon probably is a great player. Great hands, great routes. He's probably a great player. But he was Kosciuszko running the wing too. So Lane Kiffin was hesitant to take him because it's only a projection, only going off potential. And the way it's set now, Lane Kiffin is picking players that are ready to go. Very, very high ceiling players, but it's also players who have done it a little bit. I mean, if you look at Brandon Coulter's film in MAIS, where he transferred this year because Jackson didn't play ball, it It was like a man playing with boys. Him and Dean Smith just toyed with them. And how do you eat that? You know, you know it's better if they're going against. That's a 5'7", 150-pound corner out there trying to guard just a man. Sometimes it works out. You know, you have your Cody Pruitts. Sometimes with academy players, because of that gap, you can miss. And a higher percentage of missing on projections academy kids than hitting. I think that Brandon Buckle and Deion Smith are different completely. But that's why I'm saying his ranking is what it is. They don't really know what they're looking at. There's a certain level of familiarity with how they rank. And anything that goes outside, anything that stretches what they think they know, they're not catch it. There's going to be no context because they only know what the one thing they know is. And they're pretty good at it. I mean, it's all they've done for probably years, 12 years. I mean, they're pretty good at it. Now, can't all of the daily drama of recruiting because none of it matters. It might as well be professional wrestling or a telenovela, and recruiting coverage is three little things that just sucks you into thing but doesn't really mean anything. They are set up that way. And that allows them to be weathermen. And it doesn't matter if they're right. And there's just this weird scenario where people give them more credibility than they deserve. And that's fine, you know. Whatever. If people want to get sucked into that, they can get sucked into that stuff. But you're not really going to get factual rankings because there's a ranking system out there that is ranking Kiffin's offense and DJ Durkin's defense. Both of them are kind of oddball, a little bit different in college football, and you just have to understand that. I mean, back in the day when Saban, for instance, was running the ball with Julio Jones and Greg McElroy, that time frame I'm talking about, that was the system where they were judging around. Very style on offense, not very multiple on defense. It's basically a 4 or a 4-3. I mean, it's basically over and under. But it was based off those specific things. Even back then, a 5 defensive back system was ranked early, and the players that played that star position or husky or whatever you want to call it, a lot of them didn't get ranked highly because they didn't fit the mold of their normal defense. Whenever we started going to the spread and so many systems started developing, that's fantastic for college football. That is horrible for recruiting rankings because it deviates further and further away from those pro systems that they were judging on, and they built the rankings on similar to what Mel Kiper did the NFL draft. Now, good for them. They found a niche. They got, not saying just saying you shouldn't take them seriously because they're not ranked based on the Lane Kiffin system. You have to understand that system is everything. And it's going to be one of those things where it evolves. It has to, because it's just one too much. Anyway, POMcast, Stephen Willis, stick around. Coming up, expand the playoffs.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you, being the glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's Choice Independent Insurance Agents.
Hey, this is Steve Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. Men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing homelessness by making housing available, but there is more we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran or are experiencing homelessness, please call 7748-VET. Thank you.
Right, POMcast, Stephen Willis right here, segment 3 on a Tuesday. The national championship is booked. Alabama wins it again over Ohio State, 52-24, I think. It was a 4-touchdown win. And I just really like that intro, by the way. I can just sit here and listen to that. But what has happened is it is time to expand the playoffs. And I am a proponent of not just expanding it to 8. I'm for expanding it to 16. Because it gives Ole Miss a better chance and the blue blood teams a better chance to participate. See, right now you have a group of 5 or 6 teams that not only are going to the playoffs every year, they also can recruit to it. So you're probably getting 100 kids spread out over three or four teams that are playoff level kids that the playoffs actually mean something to them. I mean, Jalen Waddle coming back to play on that angle is phenomenal. That was really cool to do. But if you make it an 8-team playoff, more teams can recruit that way. You make it a 16-team playoff, more teams can recruit that way. You can recruit, you can be a playoff program, and it's going to dilute the talent at the top. There's some people that are going to come out and have all kinds of picks that basically we need to contract the playoff. We can't find one good team. I mean, it's only one team and everybody else. Obviously, there are people that want to expand the playoff are wholehearted. That's not true. It's not true at all. This is about talent acquisition and taking it away people at the top so more people in. If it's spread over more teams, the gap between Ole Miss and Alabama just shrunk. If that makes sense. It shrinks if there's 4 teams, it shrinks if it's 8 teams, and then it shrinks even more if it's 16. Now, they're still good, and they're still going to get players, and I'm not saying that's going to stop. I'm saying you're not going to have 25 4 and 5s out there in class until the end of time. It's going to cut down on those players that off mean something. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like all the Clemson players, all Alabama players. I mean, Ohio State was in there. Just had a couple of flub losses against, Iowa and Indiana or whatever. And that knocked them a couple of times. They're still the same team. But you need to expand the playoffs to disperse those players in places. It's kind of like have a monopoly and they broke up the Bills back in the day. Alabama is the original AT&T. We need to break it up where there's 6 or 7 bells out there running around trying to do telecommunications. Because as of right now, they're just essentially a trust. They can do what they want to. They can set what they want to. Because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you expect them to be number 1. They end up number 1 because they have better players. They're able to recruit more better players. End up number 1. It's all self-fulfilling. So you can help it out by diluting that problem. Because that's one less thing or they can recruit to that. So can Iowa State, for instance, can Oklahoma, so can Auburn. So you want to get them in where it's around that 16 point, and that'll help out Ole Miss. And that's the only reason we want to go that. We would stay before because I want to see what that was like and how the personnel evolution happens. Because I am all about stopping attendant consequences, and if we skip a step, we might not catch it. So You have 16 teams. This is in. It might be number 14. That means they're going to play number 3. It'll be just a single bracket of the NCAA tournament. I don't think Ole Miss will be 14 necessarily because the automatic bids of all conferences will come into play. But you can see Ole Miss being at 12 or an 11. And Ole Miss ranked 12-11 would be good enough to beat a 5. So you have a chance of all those games being really great. You're going to have your blowout games, but to do that, you also have access. Access to those games. So it's just something to keep an eye on. I think they need to doot the talent that they're picking from in order to basically grow. And then get there to 16 and try and find an equilibrium. That's my opinion. We do not need to track, and people with takes about finding a college football team, the way it's set up, it's kind of humorous. So everybody be careful, be safe, enjoy this weather. I got movers coming today. I got some stuff going to be here. Anyway, I will catch yours for myself, Stephen Willis, and Chris Thrasher. Getting ready to start. This has been POMcast on Positively Ole Miss. See you tomorrow. Howdy toddy.